If I say you have an ugly face or a horrible voice, you have every right to feel hurt, and I hope I would have the good manners not to say it. But I think everyone accepts that I have the legal right to say it. Where religion is concerned, however, it's another story. Religion is a special case, a privileged case. Why? What is so special about religion? You may be hurt if I say something that you consider insults your religion, but that's no reason why I shouldn't say it. Your religion is your religion, it is not mine, and it's not society's. You're not entitled to expect anyone else to respect it. Religious spokesmen, and it always is men, not women, all too often threaten mayhem and murder if anyone breathes a word against religion. They literally threaten to behead people for a crime no more serious than making a drawing or writing a novel. But the real problem is not the religious wingnuts themselves. The real problem is the accommodationist, appeasing respect that we decent, liberal, nice people wrongly give them. Our own leaders, our bishops, our politicians, journalists, our opinion formers fall over themselves to sympathize, feel the hurt and offense against not the victims of the threats, but those doing the threatening. Nick Cohen makes the point forcefully in his excellent book with the ironic title, You Can't Read This Book, which I strongly recommend. I've just returned from the Jaipur Literary Festival in India. Sir Salman Rushdie, arguably the most distinguished living novelist to come out of India, was due to speak on a neutral subject having nothing to do with the satanic verses. He's spoken at the festival before, but on this occasion, some local Islamic scholar decided to make trouble. I hope you picked up the quotation marks around the word scholar, by the way. A true scholar studies more than one book. Anyway, the row in Jaipur escalated. A baying, hate-filled mob of bearded youths descended on the festival compound, literally threatening murder if Rushdie was allowed so much as a video link to the festival. And I do mean murder under the laws of India, although under Sharia law it might have been called something else. Under pressure from the local government in India, who had an eye to the Muslim vote in the forthcoming elections, the organisers bowed to the mob and even the video link was cancelled. Here are two possible reasons why one might kowtow to a violent threat such as was visited on the Jaipur Literary Festival. 1. I shall give in to your demands to suppress freedom of speech purely because I fear your threats. But don't for 1 nanosecond confuse fear with respect. I do not respect you. Now, it seems to me that there's nothing reprehensible in such a response. I wouldn't call it cowardly, I would simply call it prudent. But the same cannot be said of the following patronizing and condescending alternative. 2. I shall give in to you because I know that freedom of speech is not part of your culture. Who am I to impose Western colonialist, paternalistic ideas like freedom of speech on your very different and equally valuable culture? Of course, your hurt and offence should take precedence over our purely Western preoccupation with freedom of speech. And of course we'll cancel the video link. Nobody, I think, would express this patronising thought in quite such brazenly explicit terms, but that's the subtext of a great deal of the woolly, liberal accommodationism and appeasement that we saw at the time of the original fatwa and of the Bradford burning of the books, as well as the Danish cartoon affair. Our entire society has gone soft on religion. We need to wake up to the threat that militant faith poses to our whole civilization and stop being so damned respectful. The cases that have prompted this rally are well known, and we could each add our own examples of self-righteous teachers, government officials, politicians, preachers and general do-gooders, all quick to suppress the first hint of a thought that is not approved by the Central Committee of the Multiculturally Correct. These are people who are terrified of the power of words, of drawings, people who don't understand that ideas must be exposed to scrutiny, to challenge, even to ridicule, if we are not to regress into a state of permanent intellectual babyhood. Think of the huge transformations that have taken place in the developed world since the Enlightenment, the enormous progress that's been achieved in science, knowledge, political philosophy, suffrage, the alleviation of poverty, the battle against disease, the abolition of slavery, the place of women in society, and the treatment of minorities. Steadily and surely, albeit with occasional reversals, we've been getting nicer, more humane, less violent. And every single step on that upward path has been at the expense of ideas that someone, usually many people, almost always religious people, held dear. Should the abolitionists have been silenced for fear of offending the slave owners? Should the suffragettes have kept quiet because men were deeply outraged at the very idea of women having the vote? Of course not. If our forebears had been prohibited from causing offence, we'd still be living in a scientific, technological, moral, and political dark age. We have a choice. We can treat humans like delicate hothouse flowers, shielding them from every flutter of a chill wind, or we can continue the bold pursuit of knowledge, of ideas, of high ideals, and of reality. And that needs freedom of speech. As rationalists, as humanitarians, as campaigners for social justice, we will never resort to violence or threats of violence, and we will never attempt to justify them. But that makes the protection of free expression even more important. For unlike some of our opponents, who gleefully resort to violence, actively seek out opportunities to threaten violence, for us, free expression is the only weapon we will ever use. Cherish it. Using only words as weapons, fight for it.